Resignation of the now former pastor of the Dallas megachurch, Robert Morris. Gateway Church leaders, they announced this evening that Morris is no longer the church for more than 1,000 members there, 100,000 members rather. As Marvin Hurst reports, his departure is not enough for the woman who says she was just a child when she was targeted.
Authority is given by God and God alone.
Pastor Robert Morris went from shepherd to shame in a matter of days.
I'm not to blame. I shouldn't have shame on me. I don't live in shame anymore.
Cindy Clemishire got a blog to publish her account of what she says happened between her and Morris between 1982 and 1987. The former megachurch pastor acknowledged what he called an inappropriate relationship on evangelical trips during his 20s with who he described as a young lady. Morris said he and his wife would stay at Clemishire's parents' home.
He said, "You can never tell anyone because it will ruin everything."
According to Gateway Church leaders, the charismatic leader of thousands.
Please support your local food bank, Drug and Alcohol Center. If you're new to my channel, I do social media videos on my free time. My intention is to bring some clarity, some truth to what's happening in the news. If you're part of Gateway, I love you. A lot of great Christians are involved with that ministry. However, this is breaking right now. This guy, all right? Robert Morris. Now, at first importance on my channel, I have been keeping Cindy and her family in prayer. The number one. Robert Morris, multi-million-dollar property raises questions how he obtained his wealth. Robert Morris, Gateway Church, lawsuit regarding the tithing money and the money-back guarantee. Robert Morris, the four elders. Cindy Clemishire shares her, sexual essay story. Robert Morris, alleged essay. Now, he is being indicted. In fact, the article just came out. In fact, this is the article that's just come out. Robert Morris indicted on child essay. All right. So all these news articles came out. I did find a Christian article that we're going to read. Where is it? Here, the Christian Post. They just posted this. So we'll read this, but let's watch a little bit more of this video because this is all breaking right now.
In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, stepped away from preaching to receive professional and ministry counseling. He was back in the pulpit in 1989 and founded Gateway 24 years ago. Morris resigned Tuesday afternoon. In a statement, Clemishire says, quote, "Though I am grateful that he is no longer pastor at Gateway, I am disappointed that the Board of Elders allowed him to resign. He should have been terminated," end quote. She also says, quote, "The leadership at
That's right, KT. We're praying for Cindy and her family on my channel and all the people at Gateway Church. We're even praying for Robert Morris's family on my channel, and we're praying for justice as they go through this. And it is a big day for Cindy. She did everything she could to make this right. And now we're seeing the courts of law are going to get involved and make it really right. Right? But she brought it to the attention to the elders. And she was forced to go public with it. And I'm glad that she did. Because now it's going to be handled by the proper authorities.
Gateway received an actual notice of this crime in 2005 when I sent an email directly to Robert Morris's Gateway email address, end quote. Clemishire also asked, quote, "Why not expand the investigation to his entire tenure at Gateway Church," end quote. Upon accepting Morris's resignation, the church says, quote, "The board has retained the law firm of Haynes and Boone LLP to conduct an independent, thorough, and professional review of the report of past abuse to ensure we have a complete understanding of the events from 1982 to 1987. They go on to say, regretfully, prior to Friday, June 14th, the elders did not have all the facts of the inappropriate relationship between Morris and the victim, including her age at the time and the length of the abuse. The elders' prior understanding was that Morris's extramarital relationship, which he had discussed many times throughout his ministry, was with a young lady, and not abuse of a 12-year-old child," end quote. In a sermon 10 years ago, the pastor did not identify who he was talking about when he said this.
I learned to lie and manipulate because I also had rejection I didn't want to be rejected. So I looked for the girls that would be the most susceptible.
Now the fallout from the past is marring Morris's reputation, emotionally injuring his spiritual followers.
All right. So that is on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of videos that have been posted. Oops. Right here. Gateway founder. So this came out 2 minutes ago. So it's just breaking right now, 8 months ago. Oh, I'm sorry. The video you just saw was 8 months ago. This is, forgive me, I downloaded the wrong video. Here it is here. This is a breaking video, just came out a few minutes ago.
And just into the newsroom, breaking news involving the former senior pastor of Gateway Church in Southlake. A multi-county grand jury in Oklahoma has indicted Robert Morris on 5 counts of lewd or
5 counts.
indecent acts with a child. This involves an incident that allegedly occurred in Oklahoma back in the 1980s. The victim was just 12 at the time. Cindy Clemishire has since come forward and identified herself publicly. Morris resigned from Gateway Church last June. We are gathering more information on these charges.
And I have more information right here. So let me pull that off the screen. My intention on these videos is to bring some hope, some clarity, and show you what's happening in the news. We're praying for Cindy and her family on my channel. Robert Morris indicted on the child essay. All right. Charges, Oklahoma Attorney General says. Morris faced 5 counts of lewd and indecent acts with a child. Robert Morris is the founder of Gateway Church and has been indicted. He's been indicted on 5 counts. All right. We can watch this video in a second. Oh boy, what happened? Morris is 63, resigned his position as senior pastor at Gateway June, several days after Cindy Clemishire publicly accused him of allegedly SA. All right. She was 12 and 17. 12 to 17, beginning in 1982, while it was previously believed that the statute of limitations had run out. Oklahoma Attorney General's statement said it was not applicable in this case due to Morris not being a resident or inhabitant of Oklahoma at the time. Let me get this a little bit bigger so you can see it. All right. I don't know why. How do I turn that off? Morris is a resident inhabitant of Oklahoma at the time. Oklahoma Attorney General Genter Drum briefly represented Clemishire in 2007 when she sought a lawsuit against Morris. Okay. So that's the Attorney General back in 2007. After almost 43 years, the law has finally caught up to Robert Morris for the horrific crimes he committed against me as a child, Clemishire told the Daily Morning News on Wednesday. That's today. So this is just coming out in the last few minutes. Now it is time for the legal system to hold him accountable. She said, my family and I are deeply grateful to the authorities who have worked tirelessly to make this day possible and remain hopeful that justice will ultimately prevail. So this is Cindy. God bless Cindy if she's watched this video. I've been praying for you since last year. Tyra Wilbanks, chair of Gateway's Elder Board, said in a statement to the news that the church is aware of the indictment and is grateful for the work of the justice system in holding abusers accountable. We continue to pray for Cindy Clemishire and her family, for the members of the staff of Gateway Church and all those impacted by this terrible situation, Wilbanks said. Morris has not responded to letters, at least 5 phone calls from the news seeking comment. After the allegation became public, Gateway announced it's retaining the law firm Hain Boot to conduct an independent investigation into the allegations against Morris. Well, it's going to the grand jury. They've indicted him. Nana P, nice to see you, my friend. This video is live. Good to see you, Nana P. The investigation resulted in the removal of 4 elders, numerous staff members who have knowledge of the allegations against Morris prior to June, Wilbeck said in a service in November. I played that video for you. At the same time, Wilbank and Gateway has cooperated with a criminal investigation that will not be involved the church's current leadership. Okay, so that's important. At the same time, Wilbank said Gateway was cooperating with a criminal investigation that did not involve the church's current leadership. I was thinking about that. Since Morris' resignation, Gateway has faced a cultural reckoning as the church has grappled with the influence of the former leader had over the church and how that influence allowed the allegations against him be buried for so long. As of November service, Wilbanks acknowledged that a failure of culture led to the power Gateway being centralized around Morris. Several former employees of the church spoke to the Dallas Morning News of the toxic environment presenting at the church under Morris. The church also lost roughly a quarter of its week's attendance following the scandal. That's it. All right. So let me just see. I wanted to see. I'm assuming. It's safe to say that Julie Royce will be doing an article. So I will go into social media right now and find out what's going on. This is Cindy. God bless Cindy in Jesus' name. And we'll listen to this.
And she said,
Why isn't it working? All right. So viewer discretion is advised.
Took me, like I said, it took me 18 years from when I told to be able to call it sexual abuse. He molested me, to accept those words, to finally understand that that is abuse and really evil and actually a crime. And I was angry about it. My counselor used to say, I can remember her asking me when I was probably 28 or 29, have you ever been angry about this? Even when I told her the first time, I think she was surprised that I didn't know that it was a crime. So on Christmas 1982, we left my grandmother's house in Tulsa and went to the airport and picked Robert and his dad up. And that's about an hour drive back to our house. And it was evening. It was dark outside. And when we got home, everybody unloaded the car, whether it was gifts or their luggage or whatever. And he told me when we were still unloading the car, before you go to sleep, come in my room. I want to talk to you. And I mean, I was 12 years old. I just did not even think anything of that. And from then on, it was just anytime they came to our house or we went to their house or anytime we were all together, there was always some form of touching, kissing, what I now know as an adult is considered rape by instrumentation, because he would use his hands and fingers, and that went on until I finally told. So 4.5 years of that. I think I was just confused. Just confusion. I didn't understand why he would want to do that. I didn't understand what he meant by it will ruin everything. I mean, I obviously knew there was something not right about it. He was married. I was, like I said, a little girl.
So we're praying for her on my channel and her family. God bless her. And I pray for full truth and disclosure and justice to be done in this case. Just horrible. So this just came out 18 minutes ago, and I ask my viewers to pray, give her strength, and everybody that has been grieving over this. And the Bible says that a lot of exposure going on in the church right now. If it's Mike Bickle and the 17 women because it's the women and then their families and the church and the body of Christ. When it all comes out, it just affects so many people. And the first importance, we're praying for the women in each different situation. For example, Chris Reed, Catherine, and their family. And Chris Reed, of course, used manipulation. All of this is coming out in the news, all right, to prophecy weapons. In the Bible, it says that there's judgment comes. It begins with the house of God. And right here it says, for it is time, this is Peter, 1 Peter 4. For it is time for judgment to begin with the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome of those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if the righteous are scarcely saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? So this judgment, it begins at the household of God. There's a lot of things happening in this world, and one of those things is that the apostates, these wolves in sheep's clothing, these venomous vipers and creeps that have wound their way into the church, using their positions to attack people. These are wolves. These are vipers in the church. They're being exposed. And I believe the Bible specifically says that they'll be continually exposed. And we as men and women of the Most High God stand in the gap, proclaim the true and living gospel, and help the people. Because when these big ministries get exposed, they use every weapon they can against the victims. They use their staff, they use their position, they use their touching with the Lord's anointed, the King David theology. They use all these spiritual manipulation tactics in order to cover up their tracks and stay in that position of power. But ultimately, God is in control of the bride. He's exposing what's happening in this world. And that's why my channel right now is exposing this as well publicly and asking people to pray for all involved. And you'll get through it. If you've been affected by these scandals, God sees your cries and your prayers, and He loves you. And that's it. If somebody has a question or comment, I'll answer it. We can look really quick to see if anything else is getting posted. But it just went mainstream. This is all in the mainstream. This is the Dallas Morning News. Oh, sorry. And this is the Christian Post. So this is the Christian Post. I think I read the wrong article. I read the Man, did I read the wrong article? I did. That was a secular article that I just read. Sorry about that. This is the Christian article, Gateway Challenger. So we can read this one too. It's probably going to say the same thing. So this just got posted March 12th. Just got posted. Robert, my intention was to read the Christian article. The article that I just read to you was the Dallas Morning News. So the Dallas Morning News, that's the one I just read. Yeah. So I'm going to click that off. This is the Christian article. My intention was to read this. Gateway Church, and it's all over. There's all mainstream. It's going to be all over the news today. There's only been a few videos on YouTube. Founder Robert Morrison, but there'll be more. Indicted on the child abuse of Cindy. Rob Morrison, founding Gateway pastor, was indicted in 5 counts of lewd, indecent acts with a child by a multi-country grand jury in Oklahoma Wednesday, stemming from allegations from Cindy Clemishire. SA over her multiple years in the 80s began when she was 12. In December 1982, Morrison was traveling evangelist, visiting in homily with his family of the alleged victim. Let me get this a bit bigger so you can see it. All right. 12 at the time, the indictment. That Christmas and continued over the next 4 years. In all, Morris faced 5 counts. 5 counts of lewd, indecent acts with a child. The statement from the Office of Oklahoma Attorney General shared with the Christian Post on the charges against the 63-year-old Morris. So they contacted the police as well. There can be no tolerance for those who are sexually preyed on as children. Drummond, who once served as Clemishire's attorney as she sought to get justice in the past. This case is all the more despicable because the alleged predator was a pastor who exploited his position. The victim is, in this case, has waited far too long, far too many years for the justice to be done. Genter's office noted the statute of limitations are not applicable to the charges against Morris because he was not a resident of the inhabitants of Oklahoma at the time. And I have to say it as well as a social media guy, is that there is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and that's what they're doing. So all of it is allegations, but we're seeing it getting indicted. Reacting to the indictment Wednesday, Clemishire is now 54 years old grandmother who has been pushing to hold Morris accountable for decades. She is grateful for the indictment some 43 years later. God bless Cindy. After almost 43 years, the law has finally caught up with Robert Morris for his horrific crimes he committed against me as a child. Now it is time for the legal system to hold him accountable. She said in a statement to see. Okay, so she's given this statement. That's the Christian Post. The Christian Post. My family and I are deeply grateful to the authorities who have worked tirelessly to make this day possible and remain hopeful that justice will ultimately prevail. Cindy Clemishire. Okay, so that's it. Oh, wait, no, there's more here. Join God's work in the meeting. No. Morris resigned from Gateway Church on June 18th, just days after Clemishire reported being SA'd December 25th. She said the abuse continued for 4.5 years before it came to light, but Morris was later allowed to return to ministry. When questioned about the allegations by CP, Morris initially confessed to being involved in inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady more than 35 years ago and said he was restored to ministry. When I was in my early 20s, I was involved in inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in my... Okay, so he's admitted it. Inappropriate sexual behavior. When I was in my early 20s, I was involved in inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in my home where I was staying. It was kissing and petting and no intercourse, but it was wrong. The behavior happened on several occasions over the next few years, Morris said. In March of 1987, the situation was brought to light and it was confessed and repented of. I submitted myself to elders, Shady Grove Church, and the young lady's father. They asked me to step out of ministry and receive counseling, freedom ministry, which I did. Since that time, I have walked in purity and accountability in this area, Morrison added. Clemishire insisted to CP at the time, however, that she was no young lady. I was 12 years old. I was a little girl, a very innocent little girl, and he was brought into our home. He and his wife, Debbie, and their little boy, Josh, entrusted and preached at the church my dad helped start, and then began grooming all of us to do this, which took me decades to wrap my brain around all as an adult, she said. It went on for many years. He says that no sexual intercourse, but he did touch every part of my body and inserted fingers into me, which I understand is consent as a form of rape by instrumentation. I was an innocent 12-year-old little girl who knew nothing about sexual behavior. Elders at Gateway Church also initially told CP that Morris was transparent with them about the past. They didn't believe that he'd been biblically restored to ministry. In their statement announced the resignation June 18th. However, the elders said Morris did not reveal that he had abused a 12-year-old girl. Regrettably, prior to Friday, the elders did not have all the facts and appropriate relationship between Morris and the victim, including the age of the time, the length of the abuse. The elders' prior understanding that Morris' extramarital relationship, which had discussed many times throughout his ministry, was a young lady and not abused by a 12-year-old child, the elders explained. Gateway Church subsequently authorized an independent investigation into the allegations against Morris last November. Gateway elder Ty Raybanks announced that multiple elders were removed from the church as he presided over an overview of the 4-month internal investigation. All but 3 Gateway elders, he said, had some knowledge about Morris's encounter with Clemishire, failed to inquire further. Some, he said, allegedly knew that Clemishire was a child when she was abused prior to her going public. We know that there were elders and employees at Gateway who knew before June 14th, and Cindy was 12 at the time of the abuse. Wilbanks said both groups are fundamentally wrong and simply cannot and will not be tolerated at Gateway Church. How long can you go to jail? Do I have any lawyers watching? Because we can look it up. These are it. What I can do is I'll look it up right now. How much time is he looking at? Wow, 25 years, just for one. The offense faces a minimum sentence of 25 years in prison for a victim under 12 years old. Victim under 12 to 15 years old, the sentence ranged between 3 and 20 years. Given the 5 felonies, the maximum sentence could be up to 100 years. So there it is. 125 years. Depends on the state. Which state is that? That's in Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma. In Oklahoma. Minimum sentence of 25 years. 3 to 20 years. The minimum amount cumulative sentences would be 125 years. 5 times 125. And it also depends on the defendant's criminal history. So, we're praying for the full truth and justice in this case. Praying for Cindy's family and strength. And we're also praying for the Morris family as well and everybody at Gateway. We're praying for the full truth. And this is a hard one. I've been deeply burdened by this when I started covering this story. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I'm going to ask my friends online to pray. And, Robert Morris, money back guarantee, multi-million-dollar properties, Robert Morris, multi-million-dollar properties raise questions on how he obtained his wealth. It's just another millions and millions of dollars in all of these properties. They're being sued right now because a bunch of people said they were allegedly not honest with how they spent the money. 2017, Morris bought 2 lots of Cornville, Texas, a very existing area near Christian celebrities included TBN Matt Crouch and the late Marcus Lamb. Joni Lamb's, I think they have 6 or 7 houses, and she just got a raise to over $1 million to run Daystar into the ground. This is his property, and they're doing construction on one of his properties. All right. What did Jew and Greek said? Oh. All right, so does anybody have a comment or question? I will answer. I can look really quick on, and just pray for Cindy, pray for everybody that's hurt during this, and strength of the Holy Spirit. Thanks for everyone who's supporting my ministry outreach. I love you, and we'll move on to more. As more information gets posted, I'll do another update. So, may the Lord bless you, keep you strong in the faith, and remember, Brother John loves you. We'll see you again, and I'll do another update as more information comes out. Bless you.